Welcome to That Random Podcast Crew. I'm your host, That Random Panda. Today I'm joined by Electronic Ghost and Hikaru Senshi.
Hello, I'm
Hello,
Ghost.
I am Hikaru, or call me Hika.
Yes, we're going to be calling him Hika for short. I'm going to call Ghost Ghost for short. Today is our first ever podcast, and if you do enjoy it, please let us know in the comments below. Today's topic is witches, suggested by our stream community.
Yes.
So, we've done our research. Have we done it well enough? I don't know. I doubt
I
it.
hope so.
We'll see.
We'll do our best.
Yeah.
We'll do our best. First things first, let's define a witch. Kika, you can go first. What's a
Okay, sure.
witch?
So, like a witch, it's like a person who learned magic powers, mostly like evil people, and then just like they kind of decided as like people with black cloaks and like pointy heads, and they're like flying on broomsticks. So they're pretty much the more knowledge of what witches actually is that like scary person with like magic.
You said evil people.
Evil people, yeah.
I want to get on that real fast, but first, let's go. Ghost, why don't you define witch? Because
So, the early definition is people who practiced witchcraft, but they were actually more just simple natural healers or like wise women, and their choice of profession was just misunderstood by the population, or the non-witches.
fair. You see, I have similar to Hika's with mine is a woman who has magical powers, depicted as wearing black cloaks and pointed hats, but that's more like for media's sake. That's how they are depicted. Now, can we talk about how you said an evil person?
I mean, there's not just the stuff fighting only to women. There's also like men with like pretty much similar to the word of wizard, but technically witches.
I'm not saying that's them, but technically, isn't it warlock?
Is it? I'm
No.
not very. I don't think so though.
For
They're not limited to just like they're not like gender bound. Like although this is a joke, witches are like herbs and gardening, they cook a lot, they wear lots of black, cats, magical brews, probably the village midwife, cottage in the woods, vine webs, healing spells, big hat, but it's still cute. And this is from a Tumblr post by user Mort Hills. Then there's wizards, which are not solely restricted to being male witches, but they wear blankets if you're lucky, lab in a tower, grad student vibes, will definitely accidentally kill you, fireballs, high on some kind of magical drug, hat that scrapes the ceiling, can't keep a familiar alive for more than a week. And then there's warlocks, which are not either solely male witches, but they're, as this post describes, they're magical sugar daddies, they're glam goth, they're looks like a distinguished gay, but that's only because of, again, magical sugar daddy. Probably rich, even though you never see them working. Fruity drinks, significantly more likely to be twinks than the general population, and tentacles. So, it's just different, like, fields of, like, specialization, I think.
That's fair though. That's pretty much what most of the time people would think about witch.
Oh, yeah.
we have so many titles nowadays for everything.
We have specializations.
Yes.
Indeed.
Well, yeah, and, but, like, non-witches thought that witches were pagans doing the devil's work.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where the evil connotation comes from.
Yeah, you really see that. Like, before, witches were depicted as like older women who just they have all these. How should I say it? They're just like just disfigured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're always wearing
with,
black.
like, the mole and
The moles, the
yeah.
long nose. In some cases, green.
True. Although, ironically, in the mid-1400s, when witch hysteria was rampant in Europe, they often targeted single women, widows, and other women on the margins of society. But that's not to say that they didn't, target some men. Like, they still suspected some men were witches. It's just that 80% of the population that were suspected and executed were women.
Of course.
Yeah.
Alright, now, witchcraft.
Yes.
Let's describe that. Ghost, you can go first on this.
Okay, so witchcraft is essentially magic spells, contacting spirits for help or to bring change,
Okay,
and just other healing things.
fair. For me, I have witchcraft defined as the practice of magical skills and abilities, such as using spells, uh, such as in magical rituals and incantations, things of that sort.
Yeah.
Hika, what about you? You have anything for witchcraft?
Pretty much what I was about to say about witchcraft, honestly, because like it's just a practice of like magical spells that with incarnation rituals that's like only through like phenomenal like events that will only be learn how to be using witchcrafting.
Right.
Yes.
Can I add on?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so at least with modern witchcraft, a lot of them come from books of shadows, which are just 20th century collections of wisdom and witchcraft, and they're often the Wiccan equivalent of prayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the Wiccans, like I heard that word a lot amongst like the topic of witches. This is most of like like I guess like demonic. I'm not sure if that's a word I would want to describe that.
Not quite.
Wait, we're
It's
talking about
more
Wiccan?
Wicca. Yeah, Wicca and Wiccans. So Wiccans are those who practice Wicca, and Wicca is an organized religion that has a set core of rules, beliefs, and practices, and it's based on being connected to nature. Whereas witchcraft is more individualized. Although some people interchange the two terms because they're similar enough, but they're not exactly the same.
Just like
Uh-huh.
warlock, sorcerer, sorceress,
Yeah.
wizards, things of all that nature.
Oh yeah.
You guys have anything else to add on, or you guys want to talk about witches in media?
I'm more curious to like what modern witchcraft really do as often, but is that usually like I mean that's the most obvious topic part, but like mostly cults will have the learning of witchcraft, right? Like most of the time or sometimes.
Not quite. And I think that premise kind of comes from like the old like 80s 90s sort of association of like, oh, cults, they practice like devil worship and stuff. But there's like papers and I don't know of any off the top of my head, but there's been proof that there are by the FBI that there are no connections between cults and devil worship, and that it's just like hysteria.
Assumptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's at least something I can clear off my head about, because that usually just never crossed my mind about these things.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should go to witches, real witches first then, because people in history, when they hear witch, they assume devil worshippers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true. It's like most of the movies. I don't know if you guys watch like The Housemaiden. It's the one on Hulu or something like that.
No, I've never watched it.
I'll
No.
have to watch it.
Yeah, it's one of their like popular Hulu shows, but it's like it's not. I think it's somewhat about witches, but I don't know if it's like took place in Salem. So
Probably does. It's like the most
we'll get
famous
to
time.
that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that part eventually. So, but what you guys want to continue? Or?
What's the earliest date you guys have for witches? I think you got us beat, Ghost. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I probably do. Well, besides the fact that there was a book written called the Malleus Maleficarum, which is translated as Hammer of Witches, and that was written in 1486, which was meant to be kind of a guide for like identifying, hunting, and interrogating witches. And the Protestants and Catholics just picked that up and ran with it, and that became their guide, and they labeled witchcraft as heresy. But besides the hysteria in the mid 1400s, the earliest depiction of witches was in the Bible, where they condemn witchcraft, and there's passages that caution against divination, chanting, or using witches to contact the dead.
Can we talk about this real fast about like torturing witches? Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
try and tell witches amongst a group of people and you torture them. That
Oh yeah,
literally
like
gets you nowhere.
yeah. I mean, you get false confessions as a means because they give up on like
Because they want the
after a
torture to
while.
end.
Yeah, but um, not so fun fact. There was a test they would use to determine whether a woman was a witch, and that method was called ducking, and it involved throwing said witch into a small body of water with their hands and feet tied, and if they escaped or floated, they were deemed a witch. If they didn't, they were deemed innocent, but oftentimes they drowned because
Yeah,
they were tied, they were tossed in, and they couldn't swim.
exactly.
That's pretty scary to think about. Like, if the fact is that if you float, you are a witch, you're eventually still gonna get killed. But
Yeah.
even though you'll live, chances are you still die of drowning. But that's
Yeah.
just there's no like good about both sides of like the answers of this.
Yeah, I mean, back then they didn't have like an understanding of buoyancy.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, that's
they were
true.
just like, oh, she's floating, she's a witch.
No,
Oh,
she just knows how
burn
to
her,
swim.
hang her. And it's just so bad.
It
But
really is.
also when they were executed, they never burned anyone alive on American soil. It was only in Europe.
Yes, we've actually been over
Yeah.
this before
Yeah.
we started streaming, before Hika became available.
Yeah.
So who has the earliest witches besides the origin of witchcraft? I would say.
I've got so there's Alice Young, who was the first person accused of and executed for witchcraft in Windsor, Connecticut in 1647. And then there's the most well-known witch trial in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692 that involved Elizabeth Parris, who was 9 years old, and Abigail Williams, who was 11 years old. They started having fits, body contortions, uncontrolled screaming, and they assumed that the reason that they had these symptoms was because of a fungus that caused spasms and delusions, which also I assume was inspiration for the Crucible, if anyone remembers reading that in
Oh,
school.
I have learned about Crucible. It was one of our English topics, and yeah, I did remember watching Crucible, like talking about like all the witchcraft. Like, yeah, that's true.
I
Yeah.
didn't. I don't know it.
Oh,
It was such an interesting story though, like about the Crucible. Like, it doesn't have to deal with the husband, most likely.
like
I don't
Proctor,
remember.
the Proctor. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a like dramatic kind of telling of the like Salem witch trials and all that, but
Yeah.
it was kind of like over exaggerated because like there were these young girls and they were going through the symptoms of like having fits, screaming, and just like pretend. I assume they were pretending to see things, but they basically like pointed fingers at people, and like there were a lot of people that died because they were pointing these fingers at people with no cause whatsoever.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question, real quick question. If you, for everyone here, if you were in this situation back in Salem, where a
Oh, boy.
kid is actually blaming you for witchcraft, and of course all the
Wait,
adults
you're a
gonna believe
kid or
it.
just a random kid?
You're the adult getting blamed for witchcraft by a kid,
Yeah.
because this has happened a lot back then.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
How would you react or handle the situation? I don't even think it's handling the situation.
I honestly don't know.
Like, that's a tough question. Like, for at least at that time, like, there wasn't like any kind of like any there was everyone was at the time was kind of like religious.
Yeah.
So there's
Everyone
So there's
was
no way-
religious, trust me.
yeah, everyone was religious, but it's like when you're thinking about that time, the devil was just like the enemy of this entire city. That there's no way they want to see one person like rise up and become like the destruction of what this city like stands for. It's like that is, I don't know how to stand against something, especially a kid, for example. And for your example, it's like it's really like it's hard to not think about what to do at all, especially being called yourself as a witch.
Now, let me ask another question, because like I don't know how I would react. Because like obviously all you can do is deny it, right?
Uh-huh. Well, denying it, true, but they'll push things like further, and then they eventually gonna lead to execution to this. So
No, well, first torture, then execution.
Yeah.
yeah,
Now, the question is, even through all the torture, let's say they were like stoning you, they were whipping you, just to try and get you to say you're a witch, would you break, you think? Or you think you'll, keep... I wouldn't even say being stubborn, but being truthful and saying you're not a witch. I don't know the
What
type
if
of
you, like,
tortures they
just
did, honestly.
point the finger at someone else?
No, just pointed to, like, that little... Man, Jenny, like, she's been such a pain on my butt ever since I moved here. No, I'm not responsible for witchcraft. It's her! She's the reason. She's the one who gave me the stink eye and made me spasm.
I mean, chances, yes,
That that'll get you off the bat or get you in the clear?
maybe. I don't know. It really depends how they approach it.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how are they gonna see you, like, pointing to this person, believing that he or she is the witch? So how does that prove that she's a witch? He or she is a witch? So saying that, like, what did they do? What caused this? Well, I mean, that's getting was
Well,
brainstorming, but you know.
if we're talking about, like, why they're a witch, let me tell you a quick thing about a witch I have actually on my list from Salem Witch Trials.
Uh,
Oh.
Name is Martha Corey. Pika, I know you haven't heard me talk about her. Ghost has.
no, I've seen her name briefly when I
Oh.
was at work.
Well, she
But
she was a very religious person during this time, especially when she moved to Salem. She was part of the church group, and
Okay.
she, of course, was accused of witchcraft. Very specifically, she was accused of controlling children, and the children said that she had a yellow bird sucking on her hand. And when they heard this, the prosecutors, they instantly deemed her as a witch and accused her of witchcraft and sentenced her to death. Now,
Oh.
what part of that made sense to you guys?
Nikki, you go
Hmm.
first. But
It doesn't make sense.
Now, let me also
No,
put
it
this in
doesn't.
perspective, because the yellow bird sucking on her hand made no sense to me. I had to look it up for symbolism and
But
like what kind of signs and omens they give off. So I found this. I have found a chart for different colored birds. For yellow
Okay.
birds, what do they symbolize, or what kind of omen? Happiness, joy, freedom, or lack of it, apparently. And finally, a warning, which makes no sense to me. Because
I mean,
if it was a blackbird, for example, like a raven, I guess that's obviously more ominous and I guess you could say satanic. This is a blackbird. Because
Yeah.
a blackbird symbolizes a shadow, secrets, dreams, the unconscious, and death.
I was thinking they're often an omen of death.
Yeah, or a redbird, which is passion, blood, danger, heat, and once again a warning. But the yellow bird makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I
it
mean,
make-
yellow would make more sense on frogs, like poison frogs.
Yeah, but like, why was it
Bird?
bad? Why was she just instantly assumed to be, a witch? It makes no sense to me. And then, her husband. I'm just gonna botch this name up, and I apologize. Giles Corey. He tried to defend his wife, and of course he was accused of witchcraft himself, and he was executed 3 days before his wife by pressing.
Yikes.
Yes.
That's really dark.
Hey, listen, people were surprised. They were like, why Martha? Because she was such an advocate for church and whatnot. And then suddenly, somehow, prosecuted as a witch. But at least, I think she stuck to her guns till the end. And when Giles was asked to repent or give his opinion while he was being pressed, he just said, "Add more weight."
That's kind of respectable. Like,
Yeah, it's a respect like she stand with her beliefs. That's what I would say.
I mean, I have another witch who actually was more hardcore,
Ooh.
but I'll let someone else share one of their witches first.
I shared the ones that I found. Tika, you go first.
I wasn't able to give enough time to look into witches. I've just been looking about X, and that's like
Excuses.
all I can read.
I'm kidding.
I know. I know.
Here, I'll go on to the next witch.
I found one.
You wanna go?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, going back to Alice Young, the first recorded instance of execution for witchcraft, her daughter was
Just witchcraft in
Alice.
general, right? Not in Salem.
It's 13 American colonies, so about that time. So she was the wife of John Young, who bought a small parcel of land in Windsor and then disappeared from town records. So there's evidence suggesting that her husband was a physician, and her daughter, Alice Young Beaumont, was accused of witchcraft in Springfield, Massachusetts 30 years later.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess her daughter married, had children, and just like her mother, she was accused of witchcraft, but defended herself by claiming that she was being slandered. And even though Alice Young was a woman without a son, the witchcraft accusation was lodged. Her husband was still alive during her accusation, and it was unlikely that she was accused simply for inheriting her husband's estate in the future.
I see.
But either way, she was accused and hanged.
Dang.
Oh wait. Oh, you know what?
What?
There is actually a historical person that was blamed for about witchcraft, and I didn't cross my mind, but it was Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc was put on trial for the charges including heresy, witchcraft, and divine law.
Wait, was she really?
Yeah, that's why she was burned on the stake during the 100-Year War. Like
Dude,
at the
that's so dumb.
Yeah, that like people find her as a saint. Like
Yeah.
she leads her people.
She is.
But then she gets put into trial.
because she was betrayed by her people.
Yes, by the
Yeah.
Duke. She was captured by the Duke of Burgundy's men. It never crossed my mind because this was also about witchcraft at that time. This was in 1430s
Yeah, and
that this
then
happened.
so 20 years after her death, she was exonerated, and they declared her. She was pronounced innocent and declared a martyr.
We're talking about Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
No, just explain that to her burned ashes. Must have felt great after
Just go
helping
to
your
her.
people. Yeah.
Go to her grave and be like, "I'm so sorry, Joan. We will make you a martyr."
Should just come back and be like, "Yeah, say sorry to me. That hurt a lot."
Like, but it's so sad though. Like, she was like I guess like one of the most strongest women at the time. Like, she was a heroine of the war, of the 100-Year War.
She could say
Well,
she's
it was
the
just- it's
strongest
just-
woman ever, but okay.
I mean, I'm just saying that because her stories are incredible. Like, I like history about like.
Yeah. No, I
And
agree.
then, but Joan of Arc being framed as a witch is like
Oh.
it's really not fair for her.
It is
So-
not.
Witchcraft wasn't the only charge that she had, but with her rise, she journeyed through hostile Burgundian territory disguised as a male soldier. So she was later charged with cross-dressing.
So cross-dressing was really bad. I've seen her story, but I didn't think about like cross-dressing being like a law against at that time.
Well, if we
Oh,
had
I
to
mean-
be real law, things were different back then.
Yeah.
Now, I don't
now
want to
it's
go.
more okay, but
I don't want to go off topic. We can talk about this like another time. I won't mind.
Yeah. But then again, it was a very religiously like charged time.
Yeah.
The entire world was focused around religion.
Yeah.
Alright, now back to witches.
Yes.
And this Swedish witch name is Malin Mats daughter. I apologize, Malin, if I pronounced your name wrong. And she died in 1676. She was accused of witchcraft by her daughters, her own daughters. How would that feel if your own family accuses you of witchcrafts?
Heartbreaking.
Really heartbreaking. I mean, they may have just caused a grudge in a way, like the betrayal of no family.
It's like, just imagine just disciplining your kids, like, hey, stop that, stop doing that. Like, oh, mom, I hate you, and I'm gonna accuse you of witchcraft. See how you like it. And it says, or it's stated, that the daughter said that their mom took her to a satanic Sabbath, which, if you don't know, is it's a meeting with the devil at midnight, right?
I think with other witches as
With
well.
other
It's a
witches, yeah.
gathering.
A gathering of witches at midnight to meet with the devil.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, it's annual.
Annual. So it happens.
Annual?
Man,
Oh, so it's once a year at midnight, and the witches meet with the devil. Okay.
how would you plan that?
That's
Like Halloween.
Oh, like Halloween. Hey, we're all gonna meet on this day. Like how would you
and
plan it without, giving yourself away as a witch?
that's
Because like this one obviously is before the witch trials, but like how? Everyone was on edge with witches around this time period. Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true.
Disguise it as like Bible study.
Oh yeah, don't
probably.
worry. Don't worry, kiddies. Your grandmama and your mom's just gonna go to Bible study at midnight. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep.
It's a little bit suspicious if you think
Yeah.
about it.
No, that's not suspicious at all, Sonny. Go back to bed before I slap you to sleep with my broomstick.
Just the signs.
Oh no. I have a feeling that instead of resorting to violence, they probably would have gone and gotten like valerian root or something to like put people to sleep.
Oh, just
Easy.
take a drink of this little potion. I
Like,
mean,
here, honey, have
this
some tea.
brew. Yeah, let's just have some tea. No, it's not a potion I mixed together in my cauldron.
Oh,
No. Okay, but she was the only woman in Swedish history, if I'm correct, to be burned alive.
Oof.
And it's said that she had no reactions to being burned alive to the flames. She didn't react to the pain or anything. And they thought because of that she's a witch.
But also like a modern kind of like interpretation of why she probably didn't react is that I mean, in current day there are people who have conditions where they can't feel pain, so they end up just going through and like constantly getting hurt. So maybe there's a chance that she had this condition, but they didn't have modern science to figure that out.
True.
That's true, yeah.
I just like to think that she was so stubborn that she stuck with her guns.
That's also a very admirable take on it too.
Because she said she was innocent till death. Which is admirable because she stuck with her beliefs, because obviously she was innocent.
Yeah.
But like, my God.
I mean, having to not feel pain after like going through like your innocence and like when all hope is lost, they stand tall for, like you said, she stand for her belief. She stand tall for anything, even through death. It's like she even without the pain she's going through, like it's nothing compared to how she stand innocent.
Yeah.
But it says her daughters begged her to repent, right?
Yeah.
And this is the odd thing to me. There's a quote that says, Malin gave her daughter into the hands of the devil and cursed her for eternity. Now, I don't know if Malin said that, or that's just, this quote don't make sense to me when I was looking it up. Malin gave her daughter, Malin the witch, okay?
Mhm.
Gave her daughter into the hands of the devil and cursed her for eternity. The thing is, that quote comes right after daughters begged her to repent. Comma. That quote. It doesn't make sense to me.
Hmm.
Oh
That's-
wells.
There's a lot in that areas that's probably off about it.
I don't know if she would just looked at her daughter and was like, curse you. But, you know.
I mean,
Oh,
spiritually?
I don't know.
okay.
I wasn't
So I was reading a little bit of the Wikipedia page for her, and apparently the reason that was said was because she accused her daughters of having a bad lifestyle.
there. Her daughters were like,
Huh.
no way I have a bad lifestyle. Ma, you a witch. I'm kidding, but still.
But I guess that was why she cast her daughters to the devil, basically.
Fair enough.
That must still and pretty harsh for a bad lifestyle from the daughters to call you a witch to lead to death.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm?
her own daughters not only like accused her, but the court was convinced of her guilt because she was just not knowledgeable in religion and had difficulty reading the prayers.
Listen, not everyone was able to read back then. So that's no
True.
excuse for saying someone's a witch.
Like those, there's no like evidence or signs to even bring in
Well,
about those.
the thing is, there's no signs of accusing someone of being a witch or doing witchcraft. It's just like, you're accused. Do you deny it? Yes. Well, we're gonna test you by torturing you. Do you accept that you're a witch? Yes. Well, we're gonna burn you at the stake or hang you. It's just like you got two options. You either die or get tortured then die.
It's like I said, there's no right or wrong. You still go to die. You're still gonna die at the end.
Exactly. Oh, hold
Yeah.
on. There was one. Was there another thing? I think I did, but I don't know. Who cares? I don't have anything else with that. I have another witch, but yeah, who cares? Someone else.
Yeah, I haven't really gone any other witch besides I mentioned Joan of Arc. So
Do you have any modern witches? Like maybe witches in media, how they're depicted, portrayed?
good question.
Got one, but she's actually in like kind of the antithesis of a witch. Like witches were inspired by her, but she herself does not claim to be a witch, even though she was depicted as a witch in American Horror Story Coven season. But Stevie Nicks, she just dressed how she wanted to, so it's kind of like an anti-witch in a way. But she still like respects that like the witches like they identify with her music and her style. But she herself is not a witch, even though people think she is. So that's what I think of when I think of modern witch.
Okay.
Even though it breaks my heart a little to know that she isn't actually a witch.
Oh,
It'll be okay.
yeah.
She inspires more
Yeah.
witches around the world.
Oh yeah. I mean, with her awesome music and her trendy style.
Yeah. The only knowledge I know is like, I guess I know for most facts that witches are used in like movies, despite like real life cases. Although they're not mostly
Well,
witchcraft.
We don't
But,
have to
like-
talk about like real life cases because, like, I'll be honest, I don't know of any.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just talking about in like media such as movies, animation, anime, things of that nature.
There are like cases of real life witches, like at some point. I mean, it's not just the Salem witches, but like, there is a story. I mean, this is like back then into the 1590s. It was about Agnes Sampson. I don't know if that name was brought up before, so
Not to my knowledge. Didn't you just
But,
say
like,
modern day witches and go to 1590?
I want to go back to that a little bit more because like there is a witch I was kind of like reading it and it was kind of an interesting story. I couldn't recall the name while I was at work. So,
Okay.
but it's like, so for Agnes Sampson, like from what I read here, is like she was the most feted of the accused in the North Berwick witch trials in East Lothian in 1590, which saw more than 100 accused and 70 executed. A respected healer and a midwife, she was among supposed coven, which sought to sink the ships of King James VI, new Danish bride in supernatural storm, and the king's own ship after he set sail to retrieve her. The king questioned Agnes, personally subjecting her to horrid torture, including the use of iron muzzle called the witch's bridle. Extracting a confession, she was garroted and burned at the stake. Her ghost is said to roam the halls of Holyrood Palace. It's not Hollywood, but Holyrood, like Rood Palace in Edinburgh.
Holyrood.
Holyrood, yeah, Holyrood Palace.
Dang, now she's not
Holy
like
rude.
she no witch no more. She's a ghostly spirit.
Yeah. But the
Wow.
Mhm.
Wait, was this the one with waves or controlling the weather?
I believe so. Like supernatural storms is what
Yeah.
brought up about
And,
Agnes
and
Sampson.
the king and queen got paranoid, thinking that a witch was controlling the weather, and started accusing people and started executing.
Yeah,
That's kind of messed up.
It really is messed up.
indeed. Like, but using the iron muzzle called witch's bridle, like that's pretty dark for using this kind of device. I looked up that picture, which is it's a face mask like used for witch trials.
Ugh.
Especially in Salem, they have used this device many times before.
Ugh.
It's a restraint.
Yeah.
Ugh, send it to me later. But like, first of all, nature be
Oh.
scary. Secondly, like, come on, really? Witches
the thing-
controlling the weather now? That was a thing.
And the device they use, what intrigues me about witches, like the tortures they have to use, really questions where on earth did he even have this idea? Like, what kind of sick mind did he have about this? If they want to torture someone like
Listen,
this, I don't.
we can talk
back
about
then.
torture devices because, like, I know of a torture device. It's not cool. It's very messed up. But like, we talking witches.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
getting
not
off topic.
that.
It's like,
But we're
Oh.
talking about the times in which they were witches, and assuming that the like religion at the time was based on the Old Testament, which had a not very kind God.
Mm.
So they basically were meant to, like, be scared, and so these torture devices were meant to kind of keep people in check, because they're like, oh, if you don't behave, you're gonna get tortured, and then you're gonna go to hell, and you're not gonna get like salvation.
It's either
So
our
that's-
way or the highway.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know where they came up with the creativity for these devices. I think that the well, actually, I think that the probably the inspiration for this specific device was for it's meant to like prevent speaking and cause unpleasant side effects like excessive salivation and fatigue in the mouth. So it was either meant for like preventing people from like defending themselves, but it also is meant to scare the wearer into submission.
huh.
Okay. So it was just meant to like psychologically scare people into like giving up,
That's it.
basically. Yeah.
Give up hope.
Yeah.
You're a witch. Face it. We said so. Why? Because we said so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Because the child over there claimed it. They
Yes.
saw you had a bunch of cats hanging around.
Can we
So
talk
you must
about
be a
that?
witch.
Like, how did a black cat, particularly, okay? Let's be honest. It's
Yeah.
mainly black cats. Get associated with witches. Is it because of the color?
Well,
they just assume like that's the case. If that was just like, oh, a black cat, you must be a witch. Like these black cats, there's like the bad luck of all things, and you own it, and you pretty much are evil. There's there's a lot of things to say around those words, like having a black cat that makes you the witch is a
It's not just
Oh.
that. The black cat, the robe,
Oh.
the pointy hat, the broomstick. Where did broomstick come into play? How?
We'll never know. Like,
I'm
Like-
open to that.
well, we find the research for that because this is like we question things about witches that we never like. We listen to witches. We see these a lot, especially in media, but we never give the thought why do you have it? Just like Panta said.
Yeah.
Okay, now in media, like this is an example. Harry Potter, they're wizards, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now they're riding broomsticks, making spells
Oh.
and potions. Are they really wizards?
Okay, so I figured it out.
Uh-huh.
So brooms were like hardcore associated with like household tasks, and it comes from. So the word broom came from the actual plant or shrub that was used to make many of them, and it replaced the old English word besom. And both appear to have been used until the 18th century. But brooms and besoms were associated primarily with women, and it was a ubiquitous household object that became a powerful symbol of female domesticity.
Hmm.
And then it later became associated with witchcraft.
Just cause
Yeah, just cause.
Wow.
logic. Like I can understand a cauldron. I could.
Hmm.
But like the broom just yeah, and like hats, the pointy hats.
Oh. So there's another thing with the broomstick, going back to the broomstick. So there's an anthropologist named Robin Skelton, and they suggest that the association between witches and brooms could have had roots in a pagan fertility ritual where rural farmers would leap and dance astride poles, pitchforks, or brooms in the light of the full moon to encourage the growth of their crops. And this became confused with common accounts of witches flying through the night on their way to orgies and other illicit meetings.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that
I
went from
was
0 to
not-
100 real fast. We went from contacting the devil to having a lot of partying. My
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't expecting that's the case.
it kind of goes along with the like media imagery of like, oh, the witches, they went into the woods and they danced naked around the fire. Like,
Okay.
that, it kind of, I guess, applies to that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But as for the cat symbolism, so the superstitions around black cats varies between cultures. Like there's positive associations in Celtic nations and Japanese folklore. Black cats were sacred in Celtic mythology. Scottish lore holds that like a black cat arriving at a new home signifies prosperity, and in Welsh lore that they bring good health. But with the Gaels and Celtic Britons, their traditions of feral and sometimes malevolent black cats were common. In Scottish mythology, there's a fairy known as the Cat Sith that takes the form of a black cat, and in Welsh mythology, there's this monstrous half palug that grew from a black kitten. And then in other Germanic cultures, they associate black cats with witches and bad luck.
Most of the things you said were pretty positive until
Yeah.
like the last
Yeah.
two. And that
Pretty
just makes you wonder, like, how the hell? Okay, whatever. Okay.
So,
It takes one culture to ruin everything.
yeah, pretty much. But I'm curious about this cat Sith. Oh, it steals souls.
Of course.
Cat sits?
Okay, yeah, it's the Scottish cat fairy,
Uh-huh.
and so it steals souls.
Well, you know what? Why don't we talk about types of spells that witches cast, or different types of spells?
Okay.
Where did you get the spells from?
Oh, the type of spells.
Yeah.
So I found that on Pinterest, which may not be the most reliable source.
It's
but,
what we're using, though. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep, we're using it.
All right. So the type of spells we have, we have 6. There's banishing, sweetening, binding, protection, freezing, and good luck.
There may be more, but these are the ones that we found at the time being.
It's what we're working with, and it's what we
Yeah.
got. So there you go. Banishing. To banish means to cast something or someone out of your life. If it's a person, the spell will stop them from seeing you or even thinking about you, which would be very nice sometimes. Some practitioners use banishing to get rid of negative entities in general. Banishing spells are popular among folk magic circles such as hoodoo. Would you guys use banishing? Ever?
I mean, it's a very strong form of defensive magic, so only if I actually needed to, and if I felt like I needed it to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's specific and direct, so it's like hitting a bullseye with this kind of spell.
Right.
Whereas like the other protective spell, which falls under the protection category, would be warding, which is meant to be as kind of a shield of sorts and just kind of like redirect things.
But you,
But-
Hika.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
Wait, for banish? Well, I'll let Nikki finish, and I'll bring up my opinion.
Oh, but there's different types of forms of banishing methods, so it's kind of
Depends on
I
the
don't know.
situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
For banishing, really, it's just it looks pretty good against your enemies, but I wouldn't really see the purpose because it's not. I guess in life, for me, it's like you're no better than them to like have them gone, banishing them. So I have seen no need or purpose of using these kinds of like
Spells.
spells. Yeah,
Yeah.
technically.
You see, that's the thing. You guys are thinking too small. It's something or someone. Come on. You can banish
mean-
bad habits out. Like bippity boppity boop. I tell you to stop smoking. There you go. Cigarettes gone. Boom. Smoking
Well,
habit.
That could come
fixed.
in handy.
That's true. Yeah.
Sell my services.
But that is to piggyback off of that. There was this article that I stumbled upon, and it had like a bunch of tips and tricks for like for beginner witches, and the like thing that they said was don't make spells your first option. So they're not meant to be a crutch or a shortcut with problems or the easy way out. When there's more direct solutions available, like you can like just talk to a doctor or like just talk to a psychologist if you want to help like stop bad habits.
Right.
So while a banishing spell would be a quick fix, there are more intuitive ways of dealing with it.
True.
That's true. Yeah.
But I just thought of something because I went bippity boppity boo. The fairy godmother in Cinderella. Is she a witch?
That's. She has decided that's a fairy godmother.
She uses
She's-
magic and spells.
Let me look it up real quick.
Like
Oh,
I just
she was born a witch,
boom. Look at that panda with the knowledge. Boom.
but she got a wand at some point and became a fairy and a wish granter.
Listen, she was born a witch.
Oh.
Good enough for me.
So this is Shrek lore.
Oh well, you know what? Good,
No.
good enough. Basically, that's just facts right there. Shrek lore is boom facts. Right. Put it right there. Boom facts. Shrek lore. You got the Shrek seal of approval. It's a fact.
But can we bring up actual witch like facts? I mean, sure, she's a fiction in fairy tales, but is it still considered in her lore considered a witch?
I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
she didn't cut. Well, I guess in like fairy tales, witches would show up to events to ruin them, but fairy godmothers and such were still magical, but they showed up to kind of like enhance the event.
Enhance?
Yeah,
Right.
kind of like, or at least like not to ruin the whole event.
Enhance,
So it's
like
like a
making
good
it
thing.
sweeter.
In a way.
So
In a
that
way.
brings us to the next spell, sweetening. Ha ha ha. Commonly known
How
as
does
honey jars, sweetening spells try to sweeten or mellow someone's attitude towards you. They can be cast on a specific person or situation, such as a legal case, a career problem, or a relationship. A representation of the target is placed in a jar with a name, personal belonging, and
Or a
honey.
sigil.
Huh?
Or a sigil,
There you go.
which is a symbol.
Yes, there you go. And honey is added on top. Boom. Would you guys ever use sweetening? Sweeten the deal.
huh.
I mean, I wouldn't need to because I feel like I've somehow magically rolled high enough stats in charisma to kind of navigate my way through life.
Yeah, as you see her when she plays D&D, she's always rolling 20.
Oh man, I wish my dice were that nice. But I mean, there are situations where this can come in handy.
You see
But
what?
I feel like once again there's that direct kind of thing where like if to sweeten a relationship, just communicate. Just communicate.
Big
Yeah,
facts.
communications. Yeah.
Don't
You
use
don't
a spell.
need any. This spell is not needed to help like increase your love chances. Just
Yeah.
So
talk it out.
you wouldn't use it, Tika?
Not really. No, it's not something I need.
Yeah.
I like the idea like Nikki brought up. Like that's pretty much how life works. I
Yeah.
don't have something to do with like a spell to like do it for me. That's just not. That's not me.
You see,
But
for me,
also, piggybacking off of the love element that Hika mentioned, witches, at least modern witches, advise against using love potions and spells because it's not genuine and these potions and spells violate a person's free will. So even if you do, have a successful love potion or a love spell, it's not gonna be genuine and it's not gonna be great. Like it's just gonna it won't be good.
There's always a drawback for everything. That's why
Yeah.
you never use it.
you see, the thing is, when I first heard of this spell about
Yeah.
an hour ago, now, sweetening, I thought it was just like make anything sweeter, like obviously like a relationship, but I also thought it can apply to objects like coffee. And I was like all for it. Then I read it and I was disappointed. I was like so happy. I was thinking, ooh, I can just sweeten my coffee and have like 0 calories.
Or you could get sugar or some other sweetener with low calories.
But then it defeats the purpose.
It
I
kind
mean, why
of.
would-
It really does.
Why would you take the long way of trying to use a sweetening spell to sweeten your coffee when you could just add a simple additive and just stir it in
Because
there?
magic and 0 calories.
I just thought of
Back
that.
me
Like,
up.
what's the site you guys go to?
Huh?
What's the site did you guys go to? I'm
Oh,
trying to-
for the
It's the spell.
Yeah.
spells here. I'll send you the link.
There you go.
Okay.
Let me just
Thank
get my
you.
mouse to work again.
I guess I'll
Aw.
read the next one. Okay.
But yeah, but
Binding.
like with the honey, it's not
Oh.
it's not a great tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. What about binding? Okay. To bind means to control or limit the target's power. The idea of binding this type of the idea behind this type of ritual. Sorry, I can read.
Oh.
Behind this type of ritual is to symbolically tie up someone or something in order to restrict their actions and prevent them from harming themselves or others. While casting these spells on a person is not advisable, you could cast a binding spell on yourself, for example, to break a bad habit. Now, I'm also going to read freezing, because they're kind of similar, okay? Similar to binding spells, a freezer spell is typically used when we want to silence somebody. Ooh. We call this to freeze someone's words or actions. The most common is to write down the name of the target and put it in the freezer. Now let me just write down your name, Hika. How do you spell it? Good talk.
I'm not gonna tell you that. Excuse you. Why am I the target here? But let's go back to binding, because isn't like binding kind of like very much used in most witchcraft? Because you pretty much bind people, and that's a pretty like needful spell witches need.
I mean,
I mean,
in a way, it can be helpful. Let me look up binding spells real quick.
it could be helpful, 100%. You know, I just bind someone up and like, haha, now I'm going to make you into this youth potion, just like the whole focus on Hocus Pocus. Can we talk about
100%
that real
movie.
fast? Hocus
Yes.
Pocus.
It's such a great movie.
Yes, there's 3 witches in Salem, obviously. And can you believe it? After almost 30 years, they're making a sequel.
For real?
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. They're making a Hocus Pocus 2?
They're making a Hocus Pocus 2. It's been almost 30 years since the original
Yo,
one
what the?
released.
For real? Hold on. Hold on. Let me find it.
He
I
has to
believe you.
Google it.
I believe you. I
With the
feel like there's a
original,
Hocus Pocus.
the original witches are returning, and that's what
really?
blows my
Yes.
mind.
If they have to bring the original, why wouldn't they not do that?
You can't have a witch talk without Hocus Pocus. Let's be real. Listen,
True.
Yeah,
there's
you
a lot
cannot.
of spells and potions, and there's a black cat, and a zombie.
True.
Oh, oh yes. I have Disney Plus. That's fine. I can watch that
He goes
next
like,
year.
he goes like, bet.
Can I go kind of segue back to the binding?
No, let's go back. Yes.
Okay, so they're meant to metaphysically restrain someone and prevent them from doing something, so it often prevents them from causing harm to themselves or to others.
Does it depend on how the spell's used? Like you can like, I bind you to not attack me.
I mean, I don't know if it would exactly work, but
It's
I
kind of like an
assume.
invisible rope, just to stop them from doing something.
Oh no, my mouse! Ah.
The freezing's a little extreme.
But like a freezer,
Yeah.
like
The freezer, I have the freezer right next
that's
to
the
me.
one thing that I'm
Oh.
kind of like. Oh,
Okay, so they're kind of like universal in a way. Like they can be positive, like depending on the intent. Like
I
there's
bind you to
some-
not pick up any more cigarettes.
True. There's also there's a ceremony called a hand fasting ceremony where 2 people are bound together magically through the use of a symbolic cord. Although this isn't folk magic.
Sounds like sweetening.
kinda.
Then there's also binding spiritual power into a magical gemstone or piece of jewelry, which was often used to curse people. But that was during the medieval period. And then in other forms of folk magic, binding is used to keep ghosts and restless spirits from wandering out of their graveyards and pestering their neighbors or surviving family members.
Wait, what?
Huh.
Say that again?
They're
Uh,
family members?
yeah, they're living family members, so that they can't haunt the people who are still alive.
Wait, so they bind the deceased?
Yeah, they bind the spirit to their grave.
That's fair, but like, what if, okay. Just forever
That's-
stuck in the graveyard chilling, okay.
I mean, I guess that's why I guess one of the stories that my grandma's actually in her room downstairs, spiritually. I'm not lying. This is true. That we kind of have a ghost in our house.
Oh gosh. Well, that's a different topic.
Yep. But
Like,
it's continuing on. But like,
is Hika,
Yeah,
are you a
it makes-
witch?
I'm not a witch. It's just my family is a third eye.
Well, maybe you binded her there.
No.
Okay.
That's my father.
Oh, okay.
But like, going
Makes
back to
everything better.
binding, I'm assuming that's why it has some supernatural kind of effects to like spirits for using binding.
Yeah, like well, not only that, but it can also be used against like living people too. Just basically, I guess it's just energy in general.
Or objects.
Yes.
I read a funny little factoid where apparently in the 1940s, witches used a binding spell against Hitler.
Really?
Yeah, and it kind of like reminds me of how like during like the last year or two or so, like there were a bunch of witches that were putting spells on our former president.
Hmm.
So I was just kind of amused by that sort of like thing, like,
The more you know.
yeah.
I'm actually gonna skip freezing, freezing, protection. Freezing we're not
I
even
mean,
probably talk
Wait,
about
I
because
can
like no
I
one
can
probably
segue
uses
off
that.
of protection.
oh,
By,
okay.
by all means, because the thing about protection, it's like kind of like banishing and binding in a way, if you ask me.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
also with the warding.
The warding, yeah, which just
'cause-
reflects things.
Yeah, like protection is meant to like protect however like possible, like
Yourself or another.
yeah, to protect yourself or another, but also like there's well, with the binding or banishing and warding, like you can banish someone to protect your energy or like yourself, your boundaries, but also if you ward, then you can like reflect away the negative energies that someone's directing at you.
Mhm.
So you can like put a protective spell on like either yourself or someone else or like a space even
Man, I
to
could actually
kind of
use some
like
of that.
protect. I mean, it's just a matter of finding like the right spell and sigils to use, and I recently learned just how very powerful certain spells can be.
Depending on
But
how
I've
they're
learned,
used.
yeah, like you can either like cast a spell to like protect someone, which is very nice. More so if they approve of the protection, but then I feel like if you kind of like, I mean, it's good to put more positive energy into the world, but if you are to hex someone, it may be a good idea to kind of do a more positive spell to kind of balance out the negativity that may come back at you if the spell goes wrong. And I recently I learned that spells are not to be messed with.
My question is, why would you deny protection?
I don't know, maybe it's kind of like feeling like you're not cool with someone kind of like
Get away from me. I
doing
don't
a
need
spell,
help.
or like you don't feel right with magic, or it goes against your religion or something of that ilk.
Okay, last spell. Then I think we probably would have to call it after this last spell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck. You
Can
want
I
to
read
read it? Yeah, by all means, please. I'm tired of reading.
Alright. Good luck. To invite good luck is a way to empower ourselves. These spells can open doors by removing fear and increasing our willingness to take risks that lead to success. Attract good fortune by consecrating a lucky amulet, such as a coin or a gemstone.
Now, can we
I see how
discuss how like there's a good luck charm in Harry Potter? Not charm, but potion.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's like
But-
the Sorcerer's Stone too, right?
The Sorcerer's Stones, I wouldn't say is a good luck charm. It's, if anything, it's a Holocrux for full. That's wizards, okay? I was just talking about the good luck
Yeah.
potion, bro.
Yeah, let's go over that.
But like, that one really made more confidence, right? Is this like a similar thing?
Like it does increase our willingness, like the wills, your risks lead to success, and it greatly removes the fear, having
Yeah.
some drawbacks of your on the will.
But I feel like a more accurate representation of what like a good luck spell would be was kind of like say you have like a kind of a worry stone or something that you carry with you, and like you just kind of like have it there with you, and it helps you feel like you're more likely to receive good luck in that instance. And the fact that you're having this item and you're imbuing it with like good vibes and good feelings, like, oh, this will bring me luck, this will make sure that I stay lucky, and that kind of perpetuates that, like you want the good luck to come and you will receive good luck
But, like,
more
it's-
often than not.
It's like more like a confident booster.
Yeah, like if you have this luck, you're more likely to be able to do the thing that like you want to do, because you feel like it boosts your energy or like your courage to do the thing. But even then, it's still like, like how people in sports, like they'll do certain things to, like, make sure that they have a good outcome. Like they won't wash their, like, some part of their uniform or whatever.
Rituals,
Like,
yes.
yeah, exactly. So it's a ritual, and it'll basically like perpetuate that good luck so long as the mentality's there for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone have any of those?
Not really.
Not really.
Personally, I've been going to the gym recently. Obviously, I always wear the same T-shirt. I wash it once a week, but like I wear the same T-shirt every time I go to the gym to personally build my own confidence to strive to become what's on that T-shirt.
Hey.
Nice. That's a good motivation for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't exactly have a ritual per se, but like,
Or some type of good luck charm or
yeah,
something you value that helps you.
But for me, it's more like, I don't know, I somehow kind of do like a ritual with my mentality where like if I want something good to happen, I will think for it, and I just hope that the universe responds in a way that benefits me.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So I guess my ritual is fixing my mindset.
Okay.
Anyone has anything else to add?
Really? But good luck is kind of interesting because it's kind of almost like real life situations that's like happens to most people.
Yeah.
It's pretty common to see like good luck as kind of a spell. Besides like banishing and like binding, it to me in my simple mind brain is like it does make sense for these kinds of spells to have these for a witch, and then there's freezing and then sweetening, which is something a word that doesn't really often come by. Protection kind of makes sense, and then there's good luck.
Yeah.
Which is surprisingly in the type of spells they got there, that to remove fear, wittliness, and success. I feel like that's like every common use of like, it's like we may have learned this. Everyone is not a witch, but they have all learned the power of good luck.
True.
But yeah,
Y'all have anything else to add for witches or?
I can't really think of anything at the moment.
Yeah, not really, no.
Well then, that's all the time we have for today.
And if we find anything else, we can always make a future episode.
Yeah.
But that's the future. That's the future. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any topics you would like for us to discuss in the future, leave it in the comments down below. I'd like to thank Electronic Ghost and Hikaru Senshi for coming out, discussing,
Yeah.
Yay.
and hopefully we can bring more podcasts to you in the future. Hopefully we can do it every other week.
Yeah. Just so we can do some awesome research and bring the most awesome information to you guys.
Yes. I'm your host Hika. No, I'm your host, That Random Panda. That's Hika.
Hi.
That's Ghost.
Hey.
Until next time. See ya.
Bye.